Um, yeah, so today we will be drawing some animals. I'm going to go over my process of drawing from a picture. Um, so we're gonna draw some animals today. Uh, um, yeah, so we'll get started in a minute. I will apologize in advance. I'm not feeling the greatest, so if um, please be a little patient with me. But that's the great thing about Zoom, right? We can continue doing this. Um, yeah. So today we're gonna go over animals, like I said. If you'd like to take a photo of these sketches, you can. But we're gonna start. I'm gonna quickly show you how I break down things from a photo, and then we will get to sketching a little bit. So um, I'll just wait for another second, and then we'll get started. Again, please let me know if I'm going too quickly. This should be a lot easier than last week. I apologize for last week. I was going a little bit uh too complicated for our first week back. So yeah. All right. So we're gonna get started here, and I'm gonna show you. So all you need for today's lesson is a pencil and eraser and a sketchbook or a piece of paper. Um, but I am going to show you on my iPad how I break things down from a photograph. So we're going to start with that really quick. So I'm just going to show you um, how I do things to get to where my sketches look when I'm drawing. All right, so this is the photo reference that I used for this sketch here. And um, the way that you want to draw things is by breaking down to the basic shapes to start off with. So when I was drawing this, I started by um, kind of, um, how do I say this? I kind of went with the most basic shapes that I could find within this photo of a tiger. So to start off with, I kind of started off with a circle. Oh, hold on. Let's just do this on paper, but so you can see my photo here. Um, so I kind of start off with a circle, which is the kind of head of our tiger here. Um, yeah, so we're starting off. Oh, sorry about the the lights. Um, Here, let's go like that. So we're going to start off by starting with our circle, and this is our kind of main foundation shape here. So the way I start off with pencil is very, very light. So these are our construction shapes. So this is like the barest minimum of uh, things that we're drawing in. I went a little bit close to the side of my page here, so I'm going to move my circle over. So I'm kind of roughing in a circle here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is kind of how we're starting. And you can see, let me show you on here. So you can kind of see the circle within our tiger here. So that's kind of our starting shape that we're going with. And then we're going to add on the nose here. So the way I'm going to do that is draw kind of a line coming from this bottom of the circle here and making a kind of rounded rectangle shape here. So you can see it's very lumpy rectangle, but we're kind of drawing in just the basics right now. So the lumpier, the better. So the next step here is just going to be adding in the shape of kind of the body that we have in the photograph here. So I'm kind of going up from the top of the head and following that curve down, just like how this one goes down like this. I am going to move my photo though, because I'm left-handed. Um, yeah, so we're kind of following down like that. I will show you with the photo what I'm doing first. I just need the mobility for my hand here. So this is kind of our like base of shapes for drawing in our tiger here. The next step is going to be adding in the ears and eyes and the nose. But I'll just wait for a second. I'm also drawing in kind of, you don't have to do this. This is just kind of me compensating for the fact that we don't have more than this in our photo here. So I'm just adding in a little bit at the bottom here so we can see some of the stripes that go a little bit lower. So I'll wait for another second and then we'll keep going. So our next step is going to be putting the eyes in like where they're going to be placed. So I'm going to start by kind of finding, we're going to put in a more 3D shape for the muzzle here a little bit. It will be kind of rounded this way and a little bit rounded this way. So you can see I put in those straight across lines and then added in some rounded shapes. And we'll keep kind of going with this for a second. So halfway through this is going to be the top of the muzzle. And then at the bottom, it's a little bit shorter. It looks a little goofy right now, but as we add more detail and stuff, it will get a little bit more complex. Well, not complex, but more refined, I guess. So from here, we're going to kind of go in the middle-ish of this muzzle, and that's kind of going to be the middle line for the head. And you can see I'm taking that line all the way up and kind of rounding it because it is on a little bit of a curve. I'll show you on our photo here again, if I can get my pencil out. So we kind of have our rounded box here and finding the middle, and you can see that rounded shape here on the head, and that's kind of what I have drawn in here. Lots of drawing animals is kind of going off of what you see. So a lot of it is fixing what you have, kind of. Yeah, but right now we're kind of in the like building stage of how things are looking. So from here, I'm going to draw a little bit of a different line coming up that way And our eyes are going to go about here and here. So you can see this one is a little bit more of an oval because it's not facing the camera as much. You do want to keep them quite even, like mine are very uneven here. So like I said, it's a lot of kind of fixing what you have and finding what looks right. Um, but for a while, it just looks a little silly. So I'll wait for a second and then I'll keep going. So now we are going to be adding in our ears. And the ears are kind of just rounded triangles. So this one kind of starts almost at the middle line that we drew in and goes almost to the middle of the eye. You can see if you draw a line down. The other one, we're going to add in a circle here as our base of our ear. And we're kind of putting it right on the same line as our circle here. Then about like not quite halfway down, but like a quarter ways down, we're going to draw our line going kind of upwards. This is our rounded triangle and kind of bringing it down to the base of our circle here. And um, you can see I kind of rounded out this bottom part of the circle or the triangle, and I'm rounding out the top a little bit here. And I'm just going to erase some of my lines that have gotten really blurry here. And then I'm going to add a line going from the top of my rounded triangle to the kind of circle that we started with, like that. And those are our ears. And you can kind of erase that section of the base of the ear for now. Um, yeah, so it's an open ear there. It is a little bit too far down, so I'm just kind of shortening it like that. Yeah. And I will wait for just a second and then we'll keep going. We're next going to add in the like shape of the tiger's face. All right, so from the ear here, I'm going to draw a straight line going out, kind of like that, and then one going down, and then one going into the chin area, like that. So this can be like quite a bit bigger, or it can be quite close. It kind of depends on how fluffy you want your tiger to look. Um, So I'm gonna go a little bit bigger, not quite that big, but going just with those three lines like that. So the other side of the face, we're doing very similar, but this line is kind of not really seen. So we mainly want to put in that line like this one here on this side. And I'm going to kind of flatten the top part of the face here from that circle. Not quite that pointy there. I just moved the point down just a little bit. And I'm going to add just a bit more of a roundness to the face like that. Oh, so you can see where my line is on here compared to here. And I'm just going to try and uh, fix that just a little bit. So it looks a bit more like my original sketch here. So kind of following that line down and then kind of rounding it like that. So in a second here, I'm going to go through and erase quite a few of my construction lines. Um, so I'll pause for a second and make sure everybody's caught up. And then we will go into adding a little bit more of some detail and fixing up um, a little bit of things. But yeah, so this is kind of our foundation of what we're doing here. This is the, like I said, construction line. So um, it's kind of like the skeleton of our sketch almost. All right, so I'm going to take my eraser and erase. We're going to leave this line here for when we draw on the nose, but I'm erasing the line I had between the eyes and lots of that middle line through here. I'm erasing the lines inside of the ear and the circle here. I'm erasing most of our circle that we have that we had, like our starting line. So we're just kind of erasing lots of our quote unquote mess here. I'm also going to erase this line, but just because it's a little bit too high. So when I put it back in, I want it to be a little bit lower. Um, yeah, so that's kind of where we stand after erasing our sketch here. And we're going to start on the nose. So to start off, I'm going to draw a line down from this middle line here. And then make a triangle with this side being much shorter than this side. Because our tiger is on a little bit of an angle, like the three-quarter kind of face view. This side will be a lot shorter. The right side will be a lot shorter than the left side. I'm also erasing that line there. We will be adding it back in. You can see it's kind of here on my sketch. But, we're just erasing it for now. So we have a little bit of a clearer section here. So for the nose, you kind of want to go a little bit down from this rounded line and then add in a big like half circle, and you want to round out the bottom of our triangle here. I'm just fixing up one of my eyes a little bit as it's a bit too tall. This one too, but yeah. And then on the nose, I'm going to connect it back up through that round bit to the top of the right side and erase that line in the middle. And I'm erasing this line at the top just to add in this top line of the nose. So I'll wait for a second before we do that, just to make sure everyone's caught up here. All right, so the top line of the nose kind of starts off a little bit rounded and then dips kind of in the middle and rounds back out on the other side. And that is our tiger nose here. So I'm going in with my eraser and erasing the lines on the side of the nose. And we will move on to the mouth in just a minute here. All right, so the muzzle kind of is, my lines are really dark here, so I'm just going to erase them quite a bit. So it's very rounded on both sides of the nose, so I'm adding in very rounded lines here that kind of connect underneath. This one, I want it to be just a little bit bigger there. And I'm adding a little bit of a more relaxed curve to this side as we're going into the rest of the face there. And I'm just erasing the bottom of this chin as it's going to be just a little bit in our way for the next part. So I'm erasing that. And then I'm going to go kind of from a line down from that side of the nose. I'm adding in the bottom chin and kind of rounding it out just like that into our jaw here. And I'm actually going to change some of this line here and just make it a little bit more round, just like that. So I'll wait for a second and then I'm going to explain a little bit of how I'm going to fix this sketch to make it look more like our photo. Just because it is a little off at the moment. So I'll show the photo again in a second. And yeah, so like I said, like when you're drawing animals and using a photo as your reference, you really want to be going back to your photo quite a lot. So you can see on my sketch here, the eyes are very high up and the ears are not that close together. So that's kind of what we're going to fix here now. We're going to do that. Oh, you can't see it as much, but so I'm going to move my eyes down just a little bit. So they're a little bit lower, and I'm moving them a little bit closer as well. Maybe not quite that low. Oh, yeah. When you're drawing with pencil, it's kind of nice to keep an open mind about your sketches. They're never truly done. So I often carry a pencil and a sketchbook around with me wherever I go. And lots of the sketches that I start, I will be working on for months. And it's just tweaking the little things that look off when you see them. So you can see that's looking quite a bit more like our reference. The way I draw is a little bit more cartoony, so it won't be the most realistic, but yeah. And then I'm going to take the right ear and kind of move it down, but also flatten it quite a bit. So this was our original line at the top, and you can see I'm kind of flattening it and moving it down just a little bit. So now is the fun part of adding in some details here. So we're going to start by erasing the line that we left for the nose. And I will wait just a second and then we will get started putting in our detail. Our even more detail from our construction sketch. I hope this has been a little bit easier to follow than last week. Yeah. So I'm going to start by adding in a couple of lines. So I'm going to continue this line of the nose in like two ways. So I'm rounding it on the left side here and drawing a line out more into the cheek here to kind of show the separation between like the fluffy part of the tiger and the more structured part of the tiger. Here, I'll show you. You can see, oh, there we go. You can see the line here that I'm doing. So this is kind of our separation between the fluffier part and the more structured part. I'm also, oh, I'll wait for a second and then we'll keep it. Well, I'm going to draw a line from the top of the eye and outward like that. So the kind of forehead of a tiger uh, is like, you don't have to add this in, I'm just showing you what I mean. It's kind of this shape. So it's got an angled line kind of here. And when its head is turned, you can see that line a little bit more pronounced. I'll show you again here on our sketch or our photo here. You can see the line that's kind of cutting off that part of the eye like that. So now, speaking of the eyes, we're going to add in, you want to go a little bit darker with your pencil here, but I'm adding in the outline of the eye. So rounding it at the bottom, I'm adding in a little point in that corner there. And I'm using my pencil quite with like a lot of force just to add in that. Tigers always look like they've got like dark makeup on, right? So you can see the eye is like got lots of black fur around it. This one too. So I'm kind of adding that in now with my pencil. And then I'm going to add in the pupil. So I'm kind of putting it slightly in the middle of our eye here. I'm just fixing it at the bottom here because it wasn't exactly in the middle. And then I'm going to be coloring it in with a lot of force with my pencil. And then I'm going to take my pencil a little bit lighter and kind of shade in the rest of that eye. So I'm putting a lot more shading near the top and leaving the bottom just a little bit lighter, like that. So we'll wait for a sec and then we'll do the other eye here as well. So the other eye is a very similar process of kind of darkening up the eye and the shape of the eye. I'm also going to be adding in a lot of a point on the right side of the eye, going towards the nose as we have that in our photo here. You can see the eye here has it going towards the nose. So I'm adding that in as well. And I'm adding in that point on the other side of the eye here. I'm going to put a little bit lower. So this is kind of the hard part of drawing eyes, of having them kind of looking in a similar direction. So with this pupil, I'm kind of drawing it in light and then taking a step back. Well, not quite a step back, but kind of looking at it from further away to make sure that the eyes kind of are matching up where they're looking. And if it's not quite there, I like to erase it and move it over just a little bit if I need to. and then coloring it in with my pencil. And then I'm going to do the same shading that I did on the other eyeball, going quite a bit darker on the top and then going lighter as I go down. So those are the eyes of our tiger there. The other thing you can do if you have like an eraser on the back of your pencil or like a very small corner of your eraser, you can add in a little highlight in the eyes, and that just kind of changes the way the eyes look. So the way I do highlights is I kind of erase quite a big area if I'm doing highlights, and then I'll take my pencil and I'll kind of round out where I want my highlight to go, and then I'll fix up anything that I erased outside of that. So I'll add back in my shading, and I'll add back in the dark of the pupils, and I'll just leave that little space lighter. Our next step here is going to be adding in um, some color to the nose, and then we will be adding in some patterns on the tiger, and then that will be our first sketch. I think based off the time, we're going to get to two sketches here, so we'll finish up this tiger, and then we will do a horse sketch, and then we will see where the time is. So for the nose, you can see I have this triangle line still here from when we first sketched out the nose, and that's because this area is going to be colored in black. So this is kind of like the inside of our nose. You can see it on our photo here. On the nose, you can see that black area. So we're just adding that into it, and I'm going to add just a little bit to this side as well. You won't be able to see it as much. And I'm also going to shade in my nose with my pencil. So I'm just kind of going very lightly to darken up that color. Or not color, area, I guess. So the next step of this muzzle here is going to be darkening up the line between the top jaw part and the bottom part. I don't know technical terms for things. And kind of shading just a little bit of it. So I'm not doing too much, just adding in a little bit of depth to my lines here. And I'm also going to go in and clean up some of my lines. So I'm just taking my pencil and pressing a little bit harder and just adding in some more pronounced lines of things and erasing some of my messier lines that I have. So on a tiger, there are a lot of whiskers on the nose here, but you can see the pattern of how there's kind of black lines where the whiskers come out. So we're going to be adding those in. And I kind of like to start with drawing in a rounded line like that, and then adding in dark scribbles along that line in um, little intervals like that. And you can kind of erase parts of it so it's not as concentrated. And we're going to be doing that. I'm going to be adding in 3 little sections of them as well as this one. So just adding in dark, you kind of want to keep them more circular, your scribbles, but just adding in those darker lines on the muzzle here. So we're kind of going a little bit shorter as we get to the top and a little bit less as we get towards the nose as well. That one there is a little bit too dark. And I'm going to be doing that on the other side as well. So I'm kind of following this curve as I'm adding in my lines here. So you want to keep them kind of even with the other side as well, but just following the curve of the mouth that we put in. So like that. And we're going to add in whiskers last because that's kind of one of the details that you don't want to erase and redraw a lot. Um, yeah. So we're going to color in the ears, and then I will show you how I do the patterns of a tiger. So the ears of a tiger are very fluffy on the inside. You can see there's lots of fluff coming out of the ears. So the way I do that is I kind of just add in triangles like that. And they don't have to be perfect or anything, but it's just kind of, I'm going to go a little bit simpler than that. That's a little bit too many. But just adding in some fluff in the ears and kind of going around them and shading just a bit on the inside. So you can see where my triangles are still white of the paper, and I shaded just a little bit around them like that. I also do this to the other side, adding in some fluff coming out of the ears. But I don't really add much shading to them or anything, so they kind of stay more blank. The top of the ears have, so they're mainly black. So I shade in this ear completely black, like you can see on this one. And then I add in the spot that tigers have on the backs of their ears on this one that you can see. So I draw that in first, and it's kind of just an oval or a circle. And then that's connected to this uh, line at the top. And then I color in the rest of the ear. And you're coloring, with it being a pencil sketch, it doesn't have to be perfect. Most of my pencil sketches are very rough. Um, yeah, so that's the nice thing about drawing with pencils is it kind of looks sketchy however you do it. Um, yeah. So I'll just wait for a sec and then we will draw in some stripes. So, the way I add in stripes to my tigers kind of follow the same sort of areas. So you don't have to sketch this next part in. I'm just showing you. So all of the side stripes kind of go in this sort of direction. So they're very round, big, what's it called? Like arcs, half circles, and lots of them start kind of underneath the eye or near this part. So they kind of go this way. You can draw this in as like an ex something to follow for when you're doing your stripes, but you don't need to have it. The other, so this is the same on this side, following those arcs, and lots of them will be kind of cut off because of that being the side of our tiger's face. And the last section here kind of goes um, lines from like the middle of the head going up like that. So with those, they also kind of follow down the back of our neck here and go kind of in this direction. And they kind of all meet in the middle of your neck here, like that. And the way I do stripes on my tigers is I hold my pencil and I press down really hard. Oh, not that hard. Don't break your pencil. And I kind of make a squiggly line like that, and then add in one that kind of follows the same shape. And you kind of want to make it slightly bigger in spots and slightly smaller in spots. And then I color it in completely black with my pencil. And they can kind of be like shorter than the lines that I made or longer. I add in quite a lot of little spots like so. And I also like to add in some that make it look like he has little eyebrows. So as they get further from the eye, you do want to make them a little bit thicker. So this one on the edge here is going to be my thickest stripe of my tiger. And again, I'm just adding in little bits like that. So you can kind of do um, whatever with your tiger's stripes. After I am done the stripes of the tiger, I erase those construction lines, like these ones that were here. So I kind of erase those if you drew them in, and then I go in and kind of make a darker face shape outline of my tiger. You do want to have part of it be a little bit more open, just because of how the head will connect to the body of our tiger here. The other thing I like to add is kind of just little lines that look like longer hairs sticking out from the tiger's face. And you can kind of do that all over, adding in those little lines. So I'll go over how I do the stripes again on this side of the face in just a second, and then adding in the rest of the stripes as well. I'll just wait for a minute for some people to catch up if need be. Yeah. So we're going to add in the stripes on this side of the face, and you do want to kind of match them to the other side of the face a little bit. So you can see this line that I have here, I put there, and there's one underneath a little bit there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine definitely wouldn't be, but just kind of mirroring-ish the lines that you put in on the other side. And because you can't really see them, it doesn't matter too much, but I'm also going to clean up this outside line of his face as well here. I'm going to add in those little hairlines as well. So we're going to keep going with our stripes here and kind of add in the ones on top of the head here. And you can see I'm starting off quite small at this part. I'm starting out a little bit smaller and then going a little bit bigger. And you kind of want to keep them even on either side. You want to keep the lines even on either side. So like have them be similar shapes and lengths, and then just coloring it all in. And I'm kind of putting one going up on top of this part here as well, past the ears, like that. And you can kind of add them going down this section of our neck here as well. I'm adding in just a couple, and then I'm going to be adding in a bigger one here and coloring that in. I'm just erasing this line here in the middle. And again, going through and erasing some of my fuzzier lines and adding in some of those hairlines. And these can kind of go wherever So our final step here is just to add in some whiskers. You can also color in like shade the body as well if you'd like. But we're just going to keep it a little bit simpler today. So when you're adding in whiskers, you want to kind of flick your pencil and go as fast as you can. So you get nice, smooth lines. So when you're doing whiskers, you want to be really confident and kind of just flick your pencil in whatever way, like that. And there is our tiger that we've drawn. So I'll wait for a second and then we will draw a horse, as that was requested last week. So the horse will be a little bit simpler. I wanted to do this one first as it took a little bit more time. Yeah. So I have never really drawn horses before. I think I've drawn one or two in the past year. So this was a little bit of a challenge for me, but I think I came up with a way to draw it that's fairly simple. Um, no worries if you need to leave early. This is all on YouTube as well. So that's always nice to have as a resource. Um, yeah, so we'll go over how I draw a horse with our photo here. So this is the photo that I'm using. Sorry about the light. Um, yeah, so that's what we will be drawing. This was my sketch of it from earlier when I was practicing for the class. So we're going to be doing it on our left page here. I'll just wait for another minute and then we will get started. I will try to keep the tiger up on screen if you are still working on it or if you'd like to um, look back on it. But yeah.
Show you the tiger.
All right. Let's get started on drawing this horse. So I'm going to start by showing you here kind of our basic sort of shapes. So we're going to be starting off with a circle. It's going to be a little bit more of an oval here. I will be doing this on paper again after this, but I just want to show you. So we're starting off with a circle and a rectangle. So it's going to be fairly simple. So this is kind of our base of our shapes here. And yeah, so I'll show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to start with our oval. And the reason I do my sketchbooks like this is just because I'm left-handed. There's no benefit to um starting on your right page first or anything. It's just the way that I have always drawn in my sketchbooks. So we're starting off with that oval. To the person who, Sydney, I have not gone over how to draw an eye yet. If it is something that interests people, I can do that. Um, I can try to go over how to draw a face as well, as people are something that I draw quite often, but if you would like, we can do that for sure. Um, yeah, I will look into making a lesson about that. All right. Continuing with our horse here, I'm going to draw in our rectangle shape. It will look just a little bit silly. Um, it's more of it's more of like a pointy kind of a rectangle. Um, yeah, so you're kind of going from about a third down of your oval here and going out and down and going to the base here like this. I am also going to add in the neck, which is very similar to the way we did the tigers, which is just a kind of rounded line down from there and from there. So we're going to be breaking down this shape kind of even further by adding in a kind of boxy shape to the nose here. And that's just going to be how we're going to construct the front of the nose. And we're going to be taking that line all the way up to match with that one. And that's how we're going to place our eyes on our horse. So this eye here on the left is fully facing our like point of view. So it will be a circle. It'll be a little bit more of a squished circle, but it will just be mainly that circular shape. And this one on the right, I will show you my photo here. You can see it is very like not in view. So we're just going to be drawing in. Oh, that's a little bit too high. We're going to be drawing in where the eye kind of goes. And you can kind of add a little bit of a rounded part there to show that the eye is in fact there. And this is me just checking to make sure my eyes are kind of even. Yeah. So from here, we're going to add in our nose. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start by rounding out our square shape here. So it is just kind of like an arc or a rounded line like that. And then adding in, it's kind of like a teardrop shape for the nose here. And yeah, it's takes up quite a bit of the nose like that. But that's kind of the shape that we're looking for. Oh, I just realized I'm not going to have space for the ears. Um, I will show you how to do the ears in a different spot, but you won't be able to see the ears of my horse very well. So from here, I'm going to draw in our mouth. So I'm rounding out this bottom line like this and going just a little bit past the nostril there and erasing that kind of pointy line like that. This section of the nose is a little bit flatter, just at the bottom there. But yeah, I'm then going to add in another line. Oh, that's too. And this line will just kind of go like that, slightly below there. And then this is going to be the kind of jawline of our horse that we're adding in. So I'm going straight up and then following that oval that we drew in to start off with and adding in a very rounded line like that. All right, our next step here is going to be drawing in the eyes, and I'm adding a little triangle off the right side and a little triangle off the left side. So we're adding in, this is the eyelid, right? So if you look at, here, I'll show you on my photo again here. So if you look at the eye, you can see the eyelid adds those little triangles to the side of the circle of the eye here. I'll show you with the red pencil on this really quick. So you can see this is like the circle of the eye, and you can see those little triangles that the eyelids make. And I'm going to add in my highlight earlier than last time, as we are just coloring all of this eye in, as it is very dark. So I'm adding in kind of a circular shape and then coloring in all of this eye here. And you can see I'm not coloring it in all the way dark, as I still want to add in um, a little bit of a gradient going from the top here being quite dark and then a little bit lighter on the bottom. So even though the whole eye is colored in, we've got a little bit of kind of a 3D effect to the eye as it is a sphere. I'm also going to add in a line a above the eye, as horses have rather distinct eyelids, and you can add a little line on the bottom there as well. So the top of the head here is not as round as we have it drawn in already. So I'm adding in a little bit of a flat portion here. We're going to keep this part in light pencil as we have to add in the mane of the horse. But you can go in and erase the construction lines that we have in place here. I would leave this line as well for now until after we have the ears in place. So like I said, the ears are going to be hard to show as I put mine very high up on the page. So I'll show you kind of at the bottom here how I do the ears. This first one is kind of a triangle that goes like this, and it's a little bit more like rounded on one side, but it goes like that kind of a shape. And then I add in a line from the top down to kind of meet up with that one. And you can even add a little tuft of hair like we did on the tiger's ears. So I'll still add those to the head of mine. They'll just get cut off by my paper, unfortunately. So it will look a little bit goofy as we haven't added in any of the mane yet. But yeah, so the next ear is kind of a similar triangle idea. You're just adding the triangle on the other side and curving this line outward. So on my horse, you can see where I'm putting the ear. You kind of want it there. And this one is a little bit too high off of mine here. So I'm moving it down. And I'm going to add in a line, just a little line like that on this ear. And you can erase the lines on the inside of your ears here and add in another little tuft. All right. So I will wait for a second and then we will draw in the mane and then color in a pattern on our horse. And that will be our class for today. So the way I'm adding in the mane, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of adding in very long, rounded triangles. So I added a little bit of height on top of the head there, and then added in some very long triangles. I'm changing that one up a little bit. And then from here, I'm just adding some more triangles kind of coming off of those main shapes and erasing any lines that go on top of each other. You can also add them kind of going upward a little bit like that one. And then I'm going to go kind of with the same idea on the neck here, kind of increasing the height of it a little bit and then adding in very long rounded triangles. And I'm going to add some more triangles coming off of those, just adding kind of like texture to our mane here. And erasing any lines that overlap like this. And I'm just making this one on his face a little bit longer as this kind of was at the same height. And you don't really want them to be exactly the same. I'm also going to erase this line that was our oval that we started with. And I'm going to shade in the nose here as well. And this is, we're kind of at the fun part now where you can kind of add any sort of pattern to your horse. You can see the one in my sketch is very similar to the photo I have with like the white stripe down the nose, but you can make it spotted. Kind of really anything that you want. On most horses, the nose is quite a bit lighter uh, than the rest of the face. So I'm going to add in a kind of a wonky pattern here, and then kind of adding in a little bit of a pattern kind of right between our eyes. The next step is going to be shading in most of the body. So this kind of takes a little while, but you kind of want to hold your pencil a little bit like almost flat to your page. And that'll just help you go a little bit faster and just color in all of this area here. And like I said with the tiger, it is okay to keep it a little bit sketchier as we are just doing this in pencil. So you can see I'm kind of changing up directions just to keep that style of it being a little bit sketchy. And I'm coloring in all of this face here. The other thing you could do is add in a little bit of a pattern on your horse's like chest here. Oh, I am out of pencil lead on that pencil. Why you have a backup pencil nearby. But just coloring in all of this space. I will be coloring in the mane as well. Yeah, so I'm going to color the mane in, and I'm just going to use kind of longer strokes like that to color in the mane. And it's okay if it doesn't look as covered, like with lines, as it is hair. So it's supposed to look a little bit kind of like stringy almost. I can't think of the word that I mean. But you just, yeah. And don't forget to color in the ears like I did. And I'm leaving those tufts blank like I did on the tiger's ears. So there is our horse that we've drawn. Yeah, so that is our class for the day. Um, with our extra time, I can show you how I would shade in the tiger. So like this one, you can see there's some lighter spots and some darker-ish spots, and I can show you how to do that. Should only take a second here. So I'm going to add in some spots kind of around the eyes. So I'm kind of doing the same thing that I did for yeah, adding a pattern to the horse, but we're doing that for the tiger here. So you want to leave a little bit of area around the eyes white and around the muzzle and on the edge of the fur as well as the stomach there. So after adding those in, I just shade in the rest of this here. So I'm not shading very dark, just going over it lightly with pencil, and that's just adding just a little bit more depth to my sketch here. like that. And those are our two sketches this week. Thank you all for coming and for following along. Angela, those look great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe.